Next question is for me. Why are the money lines in Aussie rules much lower than other sports? For example, bet the Collingwood Magpies 2 weeks ago. Great bet at Danny K731. They were 38-point favourites, and the money line was minus 1100. It's a lower scoring sport than basketball, but is there more variance? Great question, Danny Dimes. Very inside baseball, but I like it. The answer is yes, there is a lot more variance, even though in Aussie rules, which is to me unequivocally a top 3 sport on planet Earth, the average game finishes around 170 points. But you will get like 50-point favourites. There is just more variance because unlike basketball where you take turns of who gets the ball each possession, Aussie rules, you can just have a team just pile on 10 goals in a row and it gets out of hand. And I believe the average Australian football game, the final score finishes around, I think it's like 24 points off whatever the line is. So there is a bit more variance. But good question, Danny. And for anyone who has it in their capacity to wake up at 4 a.m. Eastern American time, should get into Australian rules
sounds
football.
Sounds fun. I will not be waking up at 4, but I mean, maybe I'll watch a recording.
Yeah, which the highlight packages. All right, next question for Lawrence. Who's a late round running back? That's a steal. Lawrence from Films Goddess. Films Goddess actually really liked Aquaman too.
I'm going to say that he did. Ironically, I actually tweeted about this guy yesterday, but I think it's Tyjae Spears from the Tennessee Titans, right? They signed Tony Pollard. That kind of lures you away from that. But the guy Tyjae Spears did finish as running back 34. No running back was that good in fantasy behind Derrick Henry since 2018. He's got a higher touch. He's got a higher average per touch than Tony Pollard, 5.5 to 4.3. He was the more explosive back last year. And the Titans aren't simply going to get rid of Derrick Henry, bring in Tony Pollard, and give less to Tyjae Spears. Like, he was an important part of their offense last year. Now, albeit they were losing a lot of games this year, so Spears ended up out-snapping Derrick Henry in 10 out of the 17 games, but he's only going to get better, and he has massive PPR value in those later rounds coming off a season in which he had 52 catches. Remember, 52 catches as a backup running back. Derrick Henry was second in the league in rushing, but Tyjae Spears had 52 receptions.
Right.
So
in a low volume offense.
Low volume.
You know,
so I would say Tyjae Spears is like the ultimate zero running back draft. Dude, you want to get in the draft, and I like him in best ball too, since we talked about that earlier.
Absolutely. I do think if you fade running back early, Tyjae Spears strikes me as a guy you have to take. Like, you have to get him on your roster because the upside is so tremendous. 31% of his rushes last year went for explosive runs, over 10 yards. So this is a guy who can do a lot with a little, and I don't really care about Tony Pollard all that much. So I think Spears is the guy.
Friend of the show, formerly friend of the show.
I'm sorry. I mean, he's a very nice guy. He talked with us at the Super Bowl. But I like Spears.
Gave you that interview. That's how you do him, Benny.
Tony, I'm sorry.
Unbelievable. But no, if they both did what they did last year in terms of snap-by-snap production, you'd say Tyjae Spears probably projects as the better running back this season, just at least in terms of sheer talent. All right, next question is for Matthew. Should I keep Amon-Ra St. Brown for next season? 12-team league for my first-round pick. Spot in the first round is random. Tyreek Hill and CeeDee Lamb won't be available. PPR. That question is from Kyle Butler at Kyle Butler 915. Matthew.
I'd say yes. Look, here's the thing. Like, it's all variance, right? And so, like, if he has a top 4 pick, then that would be bad. But the idea is if you know that Lamb and Tyreek Hill aren't available, so how much better are you going to improve on Amon-Ra St. Brown in the first round? Like, there's a couple of players that, yes, if your draft pick, for me, I'm a big believer in, I always say this, you can't win your draft in the first round, but you can lose it. So the idea here is that I would rather lock in the production of Amon-Ra St. Brown than, if you end up drafting towards the end of the first round, he's likely not available. My guess is that since it's a keeper league, a lot of people will be keeping first round picks, right? I mean, I don't know. It's hard to know without knowing, knowing what your keeper is. I guess my feeling is that if you're telling me that Tyreek Hill and CeeDee Lamb are both being kept, it makes me feel like in your league, first round caliber talent players are kept as opposed to the guys like, Puka Nacua being kept, late round steals. So given that there's probably going to be less talent in the first round and you can't figure out where you're going to be drafting, I'd rather lock in the production, because in a keeper league, I think Amon-Ra St. Brown I'm at wide receiver 5. So, and I don't think there's anything wrong with going wide receiver in a keeper league, right? So the idea that, like I said, I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to have a big year. Ben Johnson's back. Jared Goff is back. We've talked about this. All but 3 of their games are in a dome this year, Detroit. So I think Amon-Ra, barring injury, has another monster year. I think he's a very high floor player. So given the fact that you don't know where you're picking in the first round, I say yes.
Yep, I agree with that.
I'm with that.
I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be the number 1 wide receiver in football this year, is my bold-ish prediction for the reasons that Matthew laid out. I just think that playing 14 games indoors is such an advantage over guys like Jamar Chase has to play in the AFC North outdoors in cold weather. Tyreek Hill's constantly getting injured towards the end of seasons. CeeDee Lamb would be the other guy, but Amon-Ra, I think, is going to have a huge season. All right, question for Denny. My younger cousin mentioned he always starts drafts with 2 running backs. Was I right to ruin Easter? This is a question from Sal Nichols.
So he already ruined it. He ain't asking should he
No.
do it the next
Was
time.
he
He's
correct?
saying he done it.
It's hard to say yes, but yes. I mean, you have to make a stand eventually for 0 RB, and I think if you told your cousin, look, it was ridiculous to start your draft with 2 running backs. I'm guessing his best ball, because we're talking about May here, or I guess Easter was in April. But that's the way to do it. Okay, look, if you truly believe in a draft strategy, you have to ruin family events, to get your point across. I've been saying this since 2012, and no one's listening.
I
I'm
wonder
glad
what
this
he
person
did
listened.
to ruin it. What you do, Sal?
Right.
What you do to ruin
Maybe
Easter?
He threw a drink. Maybe he tossed the table. I mean,
or he might have took all the Easter eggs from the kids.
Right.
He might have ruined their little Easter egg hunt.
That too, and that's reasonable. You did the right thing.
Yes, as if you don't stand for something, you fall for everything.
fall
As
for
they
everything.
said in
That's right.
Aquaman 2, over and over again.
And that's what they meant. Yeah, good job ruining Easter, buddy.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.